Bill's out of town. Okay. Okay, we will call our meeting to order. We want to welcome everybody here this evening. At this time, we will have our clerk take roll call.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Here.
Commissioner York.
Here.
Commissioner Maples. Here. Mayor Van Oster.
Here.
And Commissioner Swindell is absent this evening.
All right, thank you. Now we will move on to our invocation, and tonight we have Mr. Joe Brooks here with us from the Salvation Army, and we want to thank you for coming, and you may come up and go ahead and give your invocation for us, please.
It's indeed a privilege to be a part of our community, and I appreciate it. Really do. And it's my privilege to be here today.
Appreciate
And,
you.
are we going to pledge allegiance to the flag? We all stood up. I was just wondering.
Nope, we're standing for your invocation first.
Okay. Well, I had a scripture I wanted to read to you. It says, "Godliness makes a nation great, but sin is a disgrace to any people." That's Proverbs 14:34. And I'm so thankful for our community and how it's such a giving community, a caring community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And the city of Coffeyville helps us all the time. And I just want to say something, let you know how much I appreciate how everybody cooperates and works with me, and so we can help people in our community. So I'm glad to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Joe.
Let's pray. Father, I want to thank you that we can come before your throne tonight in the name of Jesus on behalf of our community leaders, our commission, policemen, our fire department, all of the folks that work and make this community prosper and work in the electric department and all of that take care of the roads and take care of all the things that are going on in our community so that we can enjoy life and things we take for granted, like having water and things like that. And we thank you for those things, Lord. And tonight we just ask your blessing upon this meeting. And Lord, we pray that you will help us in our lives to have, let godliness come forth so that this community will continue to be blessed. And Father, I want to give you praise for all of these folks who are part of this, that take time out of their lives to work and make a difference in our community. And I ask you to bless all of the ones that are here tonight in this room. And I give you all the praise and glory. And I thank you, Lord, for this opportunity once again to come before you and give you praise and glory and honor. In Jesus' name, everybody said,
Amen.
thank you. I have a meeting I got to run to, but I'm going to join you in that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God
And
bless
Joe,
Coffeyville.
we want to say thank you for all you do.
Absolutely.
For the community appreciates you very much.
I don't feel like I should take all this on.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
For the
Yeah.
folks that are part of this community, that help us and give donations and ring bells and let me go on the radio for nothing and put ads in the paper, all that kind of stuff. That if it wasn't for all of the people and all the organizations in our community, churches and other groups that reach out to those in need, I'm just a face in the crowd. I'm nobody. So thank you for that honor.
It's
welcome.
always an honor to go out and ring bell, and it always amazes me, Joe, the generosity of folks, and you can tell from some of those folks that they really don't have that extra to give, but they do, and it's
When I first started doing this bell ringing thing in '09, people would apologize to me and say, "Well, I just got change." And I know my answer to that: we count it all.
yeah, that's right.
We count it all. I appreciate it. So, like I said, thank you, and letting me be a part and inviting me to come. It's a privilege. And thank you so much. And
Thank
be
you,
blessed.
Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Yep.
I've got a meeting I got to run to.
All right.
All right. Okay, we will now review our agenda. Are there any changes that any of you see that need to be made? Okay. If not, we will now move on to our consent agenda, which consists of 3 items. The first 2 is City Commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. And the second is our 2022 appropriation ordinance number AO-22-12 in the amount of $4,992,934.04. Commissioner York, do you have anything you want to
I do. So
stand
we'll
out?
just go over some of the higher expenses here real quick. So Ashland Tree Expert Company, $16,029. That's for tree trimming around our power lines. The Grand River Dam Authority for power purchases, $3,075,701. Hawkins Incorporated, this is chemicals, in the amount of $23,412. KMGA Gas Supply Operating Fund, $630,479. Southwest Power Pool Incorporated, this is our transmission services for power, $666,734. Stannion Wholesale Electric, this was for LED multi-volt fixtures, 60 of them, and load break cap at 30 of them. $15,667, and then our payroll of $450,023.
Okay, all right. Do the rest of you have anything that you want to bring out? No? Okay. If not, then I will move to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner York to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay, the next item, the third item on our consent agenda is the 2022 appropriation ordinance number AO-22-12A for Isham's True Value Hardware in the amount of $208.53.
Mayor, if there are no questions, I'll move to approve item 3 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Maples to approve item 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Abstain?
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
We will now move on to comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have anybody here this evening? Yeah.
Hello, Max.
That's you, Max.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I'm just here, I got a couple questions and I guess a concern. I think here about a month ago you bought a new cat excavator. Is that right? My question is, why was it not a Deere?
So that was the one we bought from McCullough's, is that right?
I don't know where you bought it, I just wondered
So it
why
was-
you
it
bought
was
a
a
cat
used-
instead of a John Deere.
It was a used excavator that we got at a really good price, and it was actually from one of our local plumbers, had it for sale, and so it was just a good deal. That's why it was bought, but, yeah.
Well, I'm a little concerned, we don't use Deere equipment totally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got any idea how much money they pay in taxes every year and what they contribute to this city? I
Quite a
think
bit,
it's a
yep.
shame that every piece of equipment the city uses isn't John Deere. I remember a little story, we used to have a lawnmower manufacturer here
Yep.
called Dixon Industry. And one year the city decided not to use Dixon lawnmowers. Now look where Dixon's at now. I'm not saying that caused it, but it sure didn't help.
Yeah, I was on the commission when that
should never
that
have
vote
happened.
came up, and it had nothing to do with the fact that it was.
It was a personality thing. I
No, it wasn't. It was so you had different vendors bid that, and the vendor that bid the Dixons didn't put in the best bid. And I actually talked with Mr. Mauter after that vote, and he understood why we did what we did, so, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do, though.
That's your opinion.
Yeah.
I would argue that with you.
I know
but yeah,
what
that's your
happened. You had a
opinion.
new
Yep.
commission that come in that was upset with the old commission.
Didn't have
and
anything to do
One of them
with
was
that.
the dealer for the Dixon.
Didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
Yep.
That's your story. Yep. Oh. When it comes to quoting on that, do you have like if deer within a certain percentage of it, you'll go ahead and use the deer?
Yep.
Okay. You know what that is? How much?
It's 5%.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yep.
All right. Well, anyhow, I think in consideration, you ought to make sure you use deer equipment.
Yes.
I don't think it looks good when the deer executives drive through town and we got cat equipment everywhere.
Appreciate it.
Okay. The other question is, how bad do we let the crosswalks get downtown before we decide to repair them? They're pitiful.
They are in disrepair, I
Yeah.
agree.
You
They
can't
are.
walk across them, you can't hardly drive across them.
Yeah.
Can't we do
We're
something?
talking
They
about
can't
the
be
brick.
that expensive to fix those.
Yeah.
Fix them like you did them intersections.
Ultimately, the
Make it
bricks-
look like brick.
The bricks
The
are,
bricks really need to come out of those
Yeah.
and go
Oh,
to a
definitely.
concrete pad, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This went on several years now. I'm surprised somebody hasn't fell over it.
yeah.
I know they
Yours.
patched one over by Nichols here a while
Yes.
back with asphalt, but it's,
That's-
yeah, yeah.
That really
But
is-
I've seen people try and go across that with their walkers, and it's,
Yeah.
It's just not the
it's not a
best
good situation,
situation.
no.
Is
No.
it somewhere on the budget
It
or
is,
plan to fix them?
it is on the radar, and we are getting
Okay,
to
I know
do,
I'm talking
to
you.
do a stamp concrete. That way we can go, and that would be still retaining the brick look, but it would be stamped concrete, and that way it would hold up longer. We did many years ago, and at that time, I guess you want to say it was, the price was just unbelievably high. We are hoping that prices do come down, but since we've talked, it is on our radar to get in that. I know that they did just temporarily, that they're putting in some cold patch in certain parts. If you go, you're seeing that show up, but in the long term, we need to replace.
They're effective speed bumps right now.
Oh,
because
sure
you don't
are.
go over them very fast, but yeah.
Hey, thanks
Yeah.
for listening to me.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
You guys
Thank
are doing a good job.
Thank you,
There's
sir.
nothing
Thank you,
wrong with it.
Max.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your coming up.
Good to see you.
Okay, you have anybody else? We do not, okay. We will now move on to our regular agenda items. We have public hearings, special presentations, and proclamations, of which we have none this evening. And old business, we do not have any old business to attend to, so now we will move on to our new business. The first item under new business is Resolution R-22-42, which is a resolution to execute a real estate agreement between the Church of Christ and the City of Coffeyville to purchase property for the USDA 523 Mutual Self-Help Housing Program. Our Director of Housing, Charlotte Brown, will make comments.
Madam Mayor, Commission, staff, and everybody out there. I have to agree with Max that my dad only runs deer too, but I'm the newest one in this room, so I feel like I don't have that much of a say. But what I will say to everybody listening is that, yes, John Deere is very, very important, and if we could have, we would have 100% done it. I know that they would have done that, but right now I know in every single meeting, every penny is watched to the nth degree, right down to how many pins we buy and how much paper we purchase. So I don't know if everybody understands that or not. So, but just saying that, not saying to go against Deere.
Nope.
But
Nope.
anyway,
Nope, you're
so tonight I come before you to. In regard to our USDA 523 Mutual Self-Help Housing Grant. There are two properties that the Church of Christ has almost but donated to us for a minuscule amount. It's 409 and 2317 Morgan Avenue. If the commission approves these two properties, could be divided up into 5 homes. And that's enough for one entire phase of the building construction that we're going to be doing. So whenever that cost is divided up into the applicant's loans, that's going to be divided 5 ways, and the money is going to come back to the city. But that's going to be such a minuscule amount for our applicants to pay for that lot price. So,
Yes.
so we recommend approval of the resolution to authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute a real estate purchase agreement by and between Coffeyville Church of Christ, the seller, and the city of Coffeyville, Kansas's buyer for the properties located at 2409 and 2317 Morgan Avenue in Coffeyville. And with that, I'll answer any questions that I can.
I myself don't have any. Looks like you had everything all together, and I know it's been gone over with great care to make sure everything will be taken care of properly. So does anybody have any questions?
I did not, Mayor.
Okay, if not, I will move to approve Resolution R-22-42 as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve Resolution R-22-42 as presented. Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Okay. We now move on to Resolution R-22-43, which is a resolution to authorize Cornerstone Regional Surveying to survey certain real estate for new home construction under the USDA 523 Mutual Self-Help Housing Program. Once again, our Director of Housing, Charlotte Brown, will make comments.
Madam Mayor, staff. Again, this is for the property at 2409 Morgan Avenue. This is one property, and with the survey work that's been provided to us from Cornerstone Regional Surveying, we're asking that they divide that into 4 lots. And then together with 2317, it'll be 5 lots altogether for one entire phase of the building for our USDA 523 self-help housing program. Once they get the go-ahead to do this, if the commission so approves, it'll take about 5 weeks from the time that Cornerstone receives the approval to get this going, provided their schedule is open and ready as well. So the cost is $4,800, and I would be, staff recommends approval of the resolution to authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the survey services agreement by and between Cornerstone Regional Surveying LLC and the city of Coffeyville. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
And you all got the
Yes.
additional paperwork that was here for us showing how it's laid out, and then the letter from Cornerstone also.
When I initially looked at that, I thought the price was a little high for that, but then you look at, so they're actually having to plat out 4 new lots?
4,
right?
yes, and
So
they'll bring all
that's-
that,
yeah.
yes.
Sure.
I thought it was, but you know, it's, yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had surveys done before, and it just didn't run that much, and yeah. Now, this requires a little more work because they actually have to create 4 new plats, but yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
yeah.
It's gotta be done. I mean, any surveyor can charge that.
They are, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, and, you have expertise that I don't, so, yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Yep. No, ma'am. There are no questions. I'll move to approve Resolution R-2243 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Maples to approve Resolution R-22-43 as presented. Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you, Charlotte.
thank you,
Yep.
Charlotte, very much. Okay, next we will move on to Resolution R-22-44, which is a resolution to enter into an electrical engineering services agreement with Cross-Discipline Engineering for the North Industrial Park Station upgrade. Our Director of Electric Services, Mike Shook, will make comments on this.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Our North Industrial Park substation supports some of Coffeyville's Larger industrial customers such as John Deere, Coffeyville Works, Renews, Phoenix, and Array Technologies, including our Coffeyville Municipal Airport. This station was originally constructed in the early 1970s.
Okay, Laura. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yes.
Summer celebration is
It's coming up really close, yes. Yeah. Yes. Much better.
There you go.
Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to read it and go over it again.
No.
That'd
Yeah.
be wonderful.
So your cost is almost 2.5, right?
2.5 is the engineer's estimate.
Okay,
I've
that's their
actually-
estimate. Okay,
I've been carrying this in the budget for about 4 years.
okay,
Going to ask where we were at on
Uh-huh.
the reserve fund, so, yeah.
okay.
And we've kind of been letting that build up, but we, to Max's point, they were very important to the community, John
Oh,
Deere.
absolutely.
And this substation directly serves them. So
So, yes,
it's in need of some upgrades.
okay. Quite a detailed list of what equipment you're going to keep, and then what you're going to remove, and then what you're going to install, and, I mean, it's all listed here pretty well.
So how are our prices on replacement equipment right now, and what's the availability of replacement equipment?
Naturally, everything's went up,
Yeah,
and we don't see prices coming down,
okay.
visiting with the engineers. So right now, lead times are extended, but if we don't get on it now and get stuff ordered, we don't have any good idea when.
That much
Where
further
you're
down the
going to
line, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Okay, if not, I will move to approve Resolution R-22-44 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner York to approve Resolution R-22-44 as presented. Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mike,
Thank you,
very
Mike.
much. Okay, we will now move on to Resolution R-22-45, which is a resolution establishing policies for the municipal financing of certain public improvements and levying of special assessments within the city of Coffeyville. Our city manager, Mr. Mark Hall, will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, what you have before you is a development tool for the city of Coffeyville going forward. It is one of those that I want to start off by saying this is not an assessment placed on the general public. It is one of those, it has parameters due to state statute, and it can be used to replace an existing street, but only those that are involved that benefit from that replacement can use special assessment. It is one of those, there's other terms, but mostly you'll see special assessment is in the development of new property. This gives a way to put in infrastructure in a street that works with the developer. It is one of those that, according to Kansas statute, there is two methods to determine how those will be paid, but we'll just use the one method, and that's per lot. It is one of those that this special assessment, it is through the city. The city will go out and seek the funding for that. It is the city over time, and this can go from anywhere to 10 to 15 to 20 years. It is one of that will be determined by the commission, and those are not on property taxes. It is a special assessment to each property. Over the period of time, that repays the city for the expense of allowing this to occur. What you have before you tonight is also a protection for the taxpayers. It is one of those that there is a requirement, and that is of a letter of credit. That's key to the city's future because it is, in a way, guarantees performance. And that is that the developer, should the developer not complete the project and walk away from the project, then the holder, which will be a bank, of the letter of credit will be required to complete the project that the city has undertaken. So it is one of those that this is good. There has been many cities without a policy, and I can name one, and not getting into the name of the city, but it was a $2.5 million special assessment, and the developer left. The city is now, and the taxpayers are paying for that $2.5 million project. And it is over a period. Now, until those lots that were created are sold, the taxpayers bear that burden every month for every year until that's repaid. So that is the reason for this. It is not that we are putting on a blanket special assessment, across the city, and that way. This is strictly a development tool, but it can also be used for an existing street in a neighborhood where they come together and they want to do an improvement. And that is, there's formalities in it, but this does have protection of the city, and we are getting inquiries. This is a tool that is by Kansas law available, and those developers are very interested in utilizing this. So it is for the future of the city, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. If you look on Section 7 of the city's policy, if you look at Section 7, that kind of sits there and starts to explain what this letter of credit is. And that letter of credit is basically that your letter of credit is for 50% of the total project. When 50% of those lots that benefit are completed, then he can ask for a reduction of 50%, a reduction of the percentage, and then when it's 3/4 done of those homes, it comes off, the letter of credit comes off entirely. So it is a protection, and we've already had some inquire about using special assessment. So be glad to answer any questions, and I look at it as truly a development tool for the city.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions for Mark concerning this?
Did a good job of
Yes.
putting all their information together. So.
Yes,
Well
very
done.
good,
Yeah.
very good. It is good to have. It is.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, with no further questions, I'll move to approve Resolution R-22-45 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve Resolution R-22-45 as presented. Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
All right, we now move to Resolution R-22-46, which is a resolution to transfer ownership of the baseball and softball fields at Walter Johnson Park to Coffeyville Community College. Our city manager, Mark Hall, will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, I know you're aware of working with the college on the transfer of the stadium. That was good, and I want to thank the commission. It is one of those, they've already received interested parties that want to improve the stadium and do things. And them taking over ownership, of course, we're participating in maintenance, which they stood by us for all those years before, and it is the right thing to do. This was part of their interest, is taking ownership of the sports turf that they have. And at that time, everyone agreed we would go forward. The only thing is it's taken a while to get the legal description on the property. And if you look, I think there is a attachment. You can see, the softball field and the baseball field. It is one of those. They take ownership. That is their area. That is their area to maintain. I know Jim is discussing, because this makes the transfer official, but it is one of those that we're excited. They've talked about now that because of ownership, there's more investment they want to do to the ball field. So this is simply something that was talked about previously with the stadium and is now going to transfer that ownership to the college. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
And they already have been doing
Oh, they
their,
have made a lot of improvement.
pardon?
They've made a lot of.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I said, they've already been making
Yeah,
improvements these
in
past,
fact-
as we've been going along, so,
Through these years,
They've taken care of all that.
They've maintained inside the fences.
right,
They'll be a little outside the fences, which will be something new, but not, terribly. And like you're aware that the reason they maintain inside is not only they want the field to look nice for play, but it's also there's requirements that they have on the height of the grass, and that's why even our recreation department is why they mow inside the fence is not because we force them to, is because they have to
They know.
maintain the height of the grass for play. And, we would want maybe mow once every 2 weeks, and in between, the ball will stop in the grass. So
Right.
it is one of those, I think it is a good thing, and it is a partnership between the city and the college. And I think both parties, it's a good faith effort to do something great together in helping the college with their sports turf.
Right. And they've been on both transfers been very good to work with too, and that's good. Okay, does anybody have any further questions for Mark?
Mayor, if there are no further questions, I'll move to approve Resolution R-2246 as presented.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve Resolution R-22-46 as presented. Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we now move on to Ordinance G-22-02, which is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances to update the residency requirements of employees policy for the city of Coffeyville. Our city manager, Mr. Mark Hall, will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, the current residency policy has been in place. It is one of those that, as far as administration, it is more specific to positions. As we have reorganized in our organizational chart, we've had more employees be in a director's position for more accountability and productivity of the department. That's just good for the future. It is one of those that they focus strictly on making it the best it can be. In that, there is some positions that have come on that have the title of the director, but are not on the original where it's specified just certain employees that are required to live within USD 445. What this does is it allows that should someone that's living within, and that remains the same, the 25 miles, should someone be promoted to the position of a director, if they live within the 25 miles but not within USD 445, they could remain in their home, whereas kind of written it was only these had to comply. They could remain in their home, but should they move, it has to be in compliance within USD 445. So if you are a director, you don't have to sell your house to take a promotion. It's just one of those, if you do move, then you will come in compliance with the policy. If not, then you're resigning from your position. The thing is as far as the city manager, that requirement still stays the same. But this is just as we go forward to sit there and say new positions become in directors, that we eventually, as time goes on, want them to be within USD 445. So that's kind of the basics of, it's just a simple change, and it's something. There is one clause, if you read in there, if you leave the city, when you come back, you are treated as if you were a new employee. So if you leave the city as a director and you lived outside USD 445, when you come back to the city, you have to come in compliance to go to work for the city. So
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. If not, I'll move to approve Ordinance G-22-02 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maples to approve Ordinance G-22-02 as presented. Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. Okay, we now move on to Ordinance G-22-03, which is an ordinance to establish a noise ordinance in the city of Coffeyville. Our city manager, Mr. Mark Hall, will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, what you have before you tonight for consideration is a noise ordinance that currently we do not have. This addresses and gives a penalty, but it is one of those, this addresses that noise that is disturbing in nature, repetitive and loud, and a way that it can be addressed for those that live around, which this is occurring. So this goes into, there is a responsibility on all parts. It is one of those, in talking to the chief of police on trying to actually improve on what we're doing, is that we do have a form that we're going to utilize, is we will make an attempt, and I'm just saying this in addition. It is not a requirement, but in addition to this, it is a warning. And it is, we'll make an attempt that if somebody should call us, we'll make an attempt, though not required, we will make an attempt to work with the people in turning that noise down. It is one of those that clearly states that if we return, then they will be issued an NTA. And that is where it'll be turned over to municipal court. And the court decides from then on. This is, I think, a good, and it's a good basis. It is one of those that, everybody has a right to enjoy their property. It is that gives us, the police officers, they will respond to the complaint. Now, when we get in, it is one of those that neighbors on neighbors, and I don't like that. What we would suggest in this procedure is someone calling in, the officer will go and they will address a complaint. They will talk to the people. Of course, then they can also witness, is this going on? From that point, then it would go to after filling out the complaint, then they would go over to the offending party and issue a warning. This is, we would like this to be easily solved. And hopefully that remedies the situation. And should they have to return, then an NTA will be. So it is, I think, a good, and I like the twist that added to, not required, that the police department wants to do to hopefully come to a peaceful remedy to the situation that's happening. So I think this is a good policy going forward. It is something necessary. We're a city of the first class, and it is one of those that, these problems do occur. I will remind that our calls are not constant, but it does happen sometime. So it's not like this would be utilized every day of every month of every year. So it is one of those, I think it's good going forward to at least establish something that we can make a good faith effort.
I know one of my concerns in this was we needed to give our officers something that they can go, and when they go talk to somebody, there's something to back them, right? Because right now there was no ordinance in place to address.
I agree.
I do have some concerns as far as the decibel levels that are listed in this, and so when you look at a conversion chart, so a normal conversation is 60 to 70 decibels, and we have a 55 decibel limit on here. Now it's at what, 25 feet if I remember correct? Yeah. So it seems like we're maybe a little too stiff on that, but.
Well, and I think, and this is the understanding is that in reading it slowly through this, as far as our officers responding, they will make that determination. Right. And that is in law enforcement, it is the part of the person violating to prove that they were below that decibel.
So you can download an app to your phone that'll read decibel levels, but it's not necessarily a calibrated dosimeter, and it doesn't necessarily, it's not calibrated or it's not qualified. If you went to court, you can't say, well, I had an app on my phone, right? So,
yeah. But this was, it was model using Wichita, as far as coming up with what they consider. It is one of those, like I said, I am proud to say that our police department, would make that judgment. Right. Is that, and that is the good thing. the good thing that, one, we have to witness it. When we go out and we don't witness it or we get a complaint, you know, there is that we do have, but you don't get neighbor calling on neighbor because they came home late and they're unloading their car and they want to call in and complain. So I think that is good. We can always sit there, should we need to tweak this? But I think giving the officer one, like you said, enforcement capability.
Yep.
I think it is good for the officer, and that's what we'll be trained in, is to make that effort of trying to relay a warning. A warning too, it has the violation that you write on it, it has their address, it has everything that you need to give to them and say, hey, this is serious. And it does say that, you know, there will be a fine, you know, should this persist. I think most people can comply with that. What we've run into is simply, as soon as we leave, the noise starts back up.
Sure.
This gives them an actually serve, and that's what we would present to, it's a carbon copy, what we would present to the court, that we made an effort. It is one of those, not a requirement, but that way it is one of those that I was there, I witnessed the noise level, it exceeded that.
So our police cars also have dash cams, correct?
Yes.
So I mean, I would recommend if they're rolling up on something like this, they have their dash cam active, where if you go to court, you can pull up the dash cam video
Well,
and say, here it
and-
is, right?
And hopefully this will be a simple remedy of a knock on the door. Knock
Absolutely.
on the door and sit there and go, hey, need to turn. But before, we just kind of said, you need to turn it down, and we walked away.
Right.
This is why we want to give them something official, which
To
it says,
stand by 'em.
you know, a warning notice. It truly sits there and says, hey, we're starting the process. Work with us, we'll work with you. So I like the tweak that the police department came up, and that is there is, if somebody calls in and just leaves an address, we go to where the complaint is, and they need to sit there and make a complaint. That hasn't been a requirement before. It is one of those, we don't, but of course common sense says it's someone in the area, but it is one of those, it is not our job to sit there and say, you know, this person is complaining against you. It is one of those that we go from that procedure, and why we're there, we're actually listening to where the complaint's coming from. So that gives us more that if I can hear this and it is repetitive and extremely loud, it's actually what there, instead of going to directly to, which we did before, and we go directly to and then make that judgment. We're actually act as the person calling in and standing where they're hearing it. So it works good, but it leaves us open that as we go along, should we need to amend this and tweak this, there's still room to do that.
So the only other question I had is so if it's a commercial building that's playing music outside, does that qualify under this? Because it says within the city limits, right?
Well, the only thing that I have is if you're getting complained from residents,
Yeah.
then they've got a right to sit there and children going to sleep or this. So it does apply for all. It is one of those, I think, that as long as people are aware of what's going on, most of our commercial won't get technically into and are reasonably, you know, it is if they go till 12 midnight or so, then you sit there and say, yeah, it's understandable when we get a complaint from a
I'm
resident.
thinking about like Christmas on the plaza, where we'll have music playing out on the plaza, or.
But,
you
you
know,
know,
that kind of
the
stuff.
surrounding area is really not going to
It's more
hear
of a
that.
commercial area, right?
Yeah, and they're not going to hear it, but because we're spread out throughout the town, should we have something, and you remember, we first make that, that attempt to go up and say, hey, you know, it's midnight and we're getting a call, can you turn it down?
Right.
And I think everybody will be reasonable and respect that, and usually a commercial area, like I said, the neighborhood it's not every day, and it's not this, and they usually know a
Correct.
celebration, and then
Yep.
there does come a time where
Yeah.
we shut it down.
Yeah,
Sure.
And it is complaint driven.
Yes.
exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I imagine probably some people, when the police actually show up at their house, they're not gonna, if they call in, that may be one thing, but if a police officer shows up at their house and says, I actually need, to hear it from here, they may ixnay it at that point, because they don't want to be listed on the complaint.
Well, and that
See
is,
what I'm saying?
it is one of those that we do have, and like I said, this is not common. This is not every day.
No, I've gotten about 3 or 4 different complaits.
But you can
from people on it,
imagine
but, yeah.
that if they're adamant, about this, then it is not, it's not ours to go over and say, that's the house, or this, the house, and that. That's not the point. The point is, and just like code enforcement, you're in violation, work with us, let's solve this problem. But we do have where there's certain situations that, pop up, and say somebody is driving a tractor on a, semi, that they start at 4 in the morning and wrap that thing up, and then they sit there, and these people can't sleep every day. We will go and talk to, the person and say, hey, let's work this. Is if you start up your vehicle and leave, that's fine. But if you leave it running for an hour and the children are next door or whatever sleeping, we need to work something out. So these are situations that I think that it is to simply make a phone call. One, they figure in the neighborhood, if we're getting a phone call, whoever's in the neighborhood knows it's a neighbor. But to sit there and say that just by making a phone call, we go out anywhere in this, there's there's going to be a little more to it. And I think that's a good threshold, that if you just feel you can call up, you can do it anytime, any day that you want.
Yeah.
We want to encourage it, but we also say there is a responsibility. If it's affecting you, we want to know. But we don't want you to sit there and say, I just don't like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Come up here and stop them. So,
The only other
That
question I
is.
have is, how long does the warning last?
huh?
How long does the warning last? Because to his point, my children playing in the backyard are well above a normal conversation at any given point.
Well, and the warning is that we do is if it's repetitive. It does sit there and say that, in most noted ordinance, if you're consistently doing that, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's where we do, and that's where at some point the fine will come in. Kids play in this stuff, but if they're out there at 1 o'clock and everybody's yelling and screaming, you might have a situation where I'm trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But it is one of those that, I consider, we make an effort. If we come back that night, it's to write an MTA. If we sit there and the next night, we have that complaint and you're doing it, we'll make that effort. And then if we come back, you'll get an MTA. And it'll keep going to the process that at some point, you'll realize that this is serious and it does go to the court. So I think it'll play itself out, but to sit there, and that's what we want. You can imagine if your kids are out playing and you were sitting there and it was very loud or whatever they were doing, that if we stopped by and said, hey, we got, neighbors and this stuff, you'd be sitting there and go, hey, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be consistent every night.
Yeah.
So that's our hope, is to work with the community and give everybody the right to enjoy their property.
We had this ordinance previously, right? I mean, we had a disturbing the peace, basically, right?
Yeah.
Right? And it went away during codification, is that correct?
Yeah, we pretty much just went with the Uniform Public Offense Code at that point. We have one too that applies to cars, that it's
Don't we
It
have one that
still
applies to
exists, doesn't
dogs
it?
and one that applies to
We
cars?
have one for dogs.
Yeah,
dog ordinance.
Those exist now, correct? Yeah. Yeah.
But this one is to cover it all.
Well, I just, I think we all got the email from the young lady that was very upset about loud music playing at 1 o'clock in the morning, and rightfully so. I mean, nobody should have to tolerate that. you know,
No, and I think in like ours, in which, we went out.
Yep.
We went out and tried to address it, and as
but
soon
there's
as,
no teeth there. so
there was no
yeah,
teeth, and as
yeah.
soon as we left, that went back
Yeah.
up. So I think this is a good remedy, and like I said, it gives the officers, gives them an ordinance number, which they'll be aware of. We're not just out here for fun. We're asking you to work with us, but if you don't, the NTA.
Okay.
The NTA, and this could get expensive if you continue. And at some point, we'll get it stopped.
So we'd like to monitor and see kind of what happens out of this, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You bet.
and then we may need to make adjustments as we go forward, but.
And that's what, I think it's a good start, and like I say, I commend the police department. They came up with, hey, can we utilize this as warning? It tells them this is a warning, and I think that's the good step forward. And then it also sits there and now gives them the teeth to go, now you get a ticket. So,
All right, any further discussion? Okay. I will move to approve ordinance G-22-03 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maples to approve ordinance G-22-03 as presented. Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doe.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
doing
you,
that,
Mark.
Paul.
Thank you.
Yep.
We will now move on to the city's manager's report.
Mayor, Commissioners, this is about 4th of July, and things are exciting, and everything's coming up, and be it Melissa, or be it the mayor or this, there's a lot of events going on. Whoever wants to talk about those. But staff it's hot. This has been a nice break for a couple of days, but it's going to get hot again. There's a lot of activity going on. All the departments are working and getting things done. There's creativity on how we can do things better. Downstairs, that's coming along. It is one of those. Yeah, we have a little more problems than we knew. Our building, which if Thomas was here, would tell you, now we can get in the, what do you call that? Raise them up. So they can do the ceiling.
The lift?
Scissor lift?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Okay, anyway, we can get that. The concrete's curing, and if you notice, we're moving across there. We'll put up the garage doors. There's some other things that we're gonna do. But that's gonna get done. And like I said, there's a slight increase. I'm glad we took this an in-house project, and that's just because of the times. Our downstairs, we're actually, of course, saving money. So it should, and crossing my fingers, is because I think I will win a Coke over this deal, but it is one of those, when you average out what we told the commission, it should come out exactly what we said.
Exactly.
Even with this increase and what this decrease is. So we'll get there and get it done. Everybody is just doing great things. Like I said, departments are leaning forward, being creative and thinking, how can we improve in the future? And of course, it's budget time. And we look forward to that. That's next month, and and I sent out an email. We'll get through that, and then the funding requests, we'll have those in, like we've done, and go through those. But we're excited about the budget, not because it's stressful and long and this stuff. It is that we will make every attempt, like the commission has instructed us, to always hold the mill levy. And I think we've done that with the previous budgets, but it is one of those that it is a challenge with the changes and this stuff, but the commission is right to sit there and instruct staff to do everything they can to not raise property taxes. So we're excited we'll get through this, and we think that's exactly what we're going to do. So anyway, if there's any questions, be glad to answer. and I pounded the desk once. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bad habit. I'll just put my hands up
There and talk,
Hold
yes.
on.
Okay,
Throw the gloves on you.
Yeah.
all right.
I'm
Thank you,
not
Mark.
an angry little man.
Thank you, Mark, very much for everything. Okay, moving on. Comments from commissioners and staff. Who has anything?
Friday night, 35th Infantry Band will be
Yes.
performing at 7 o'clock at the Spencer Rounds Theater, along with the Coffeyville Municipal Band. The 35th Infantry Band will perform, the Coffeyville Municipal Band will perform, and then we will perform together.
Featuring our
Love-
very own Commissioner Deb Maples.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hide and play the flute kind of in the background. Very excited about this. I think it. Yeah, I'm a band nerd.
Yeah.
Well, we won't say anything about bad people because we get in trouble.
Yes, yeah. Good
I think
idea.
this is going to be an excellent concert.
I do,
I
too.
encourage everyone to come out
Absolutely.
and watch. Really like to have them come back, so the more participation, more people we can get out to come see them, the more likely we'll be to have them back.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then we will be playing at 9 o'clock in the morning on the 9th at the,
9 or 10.
well, now I got to go look at my calendar because I thought it was 9. Dr. Wiggins said 9, so we'll go look. But we're going to play Saturday morning at the summer celebration. But if you come out at 9, you can help set up if we play at 10.
Yeah.
Okay, good,
That's all I got.
okay.
Very good.
Commissioner Doan, do you have anything?
No, my note says 9 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I'll go look right now.
yeah.
Okay.
Stephanie, do we have any indication yet of appraised value for this next year? Yes. I know we have this form you sent, right?
Yes. I like that.
Judging from all the complaints of people of their property, or their evaluations going up, I figured we should see a raise, but
I stand corrected, it's 10.
I thought it was. Yeah.
But you could come on out at 9.
Yes.
You were trying to get some extra
I'm
labor,
trying to get,
weren't
you know, we can use all the help we can get.
So I get to do the stage and the sound for that this year.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, last year, our final assessed valuation from the November abstract was $47,716,000. This year, our total valuation is $51,264,000. So about, what's that, 3.5 million?
Mhm. I figured from the conversations I heard from people that had received their evaluations that they, it sounded
Yeah.
like they were, assessed values were going up, so. Yep. Which, when you look at the current housing market, it's very explainable. but
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Sure.
Summer celebration is coming up July 9th. In talking with Gail and Mike Bradley and Andy Duncan, it sounds like they've got about 70 vendors lined up this year, along with a huge car show. Fantastic fireworks show coming again. We've even heard mention of the possibility of a laser show to go along with the fireworks show. So
Come on.
ought to be quite a day. Just encourage folks to come out, enjoy the day with everybody, and enjoy one of the best fireworks shows you'll ever see. So, I had a question, and of course this is from somebody that likes to stare at the stars and gaze at the planets and all that. So a lot of cities are establishing dark spaces for that activity. So when you look at our community, Walter Johnson is a good area for that because there's not a lot of artificial light that pollutes the view. Up around the stadium areas, another area like that. Is that something we can look at, trying to establish within the city? Just, of course, you want to make sure it's safe for people to go out, but for like meteor showers, that kind of stuff, I've had some questions about establishing an area like
We
that.
can, it is, of course, if we're aware of some, but we'll look and see is, like I said, I mean, sad thing is you want to be in a place that's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And, you want it to be safe. So we'll see if there's something that is around that we can maybe
So it's
find
the
a
artificial
place.
light that really upsets it, right? And
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you can really see the sky and all that.
But, that's what, we'll see, the parking lot and this stuff. Of course, if there's something that we know of a date, we can always make sure that we,
Have
run
extra
by,
patrols and, yeah.
run by in that
Well,
way.
so like the
protect
stadium,
them.
there's a midnight curfew, right? And so if you have a meteor shower, sometimes it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning before.
But
it occurs,
I think
so-
is
Yeah.
if you're talking to the stargazers,
Mhm.
since you're the conduit
Yeah.
for the city,
Yeah.
that if they can help us, we'll be glad to help them,
Okay.
and work out some. It's a good thing. They'll be real peaceful and they won't be loud.
Some other cities are starting to
In fact,
do
we
that,
won't
and it's
see them
kinda
unless they
gaining
turn on their
some
phone.
momentum.
So, we can probably, work something that, make it safe and that stuff. So be glad to tackle that and
Very good.
work with them.
That's about all I had, man.
Do you have information on the Aquatic Center thing for this weekend, on the 4th?
Yes, so the 20-year anniversary celebration of the Aquatic Center will be on Monday, July 4th. They are going to open the gates at 12:30 and start a ceremony at 12:45, kind of the rededication, and we will announce the new name of the Aquatic Center. I think they're going to do a $1 swim all day, $1 hot dogs. They're going to have different games, different activities, so it should be a good time. Come on out and hear the new name of the Aquatic Center.
I do want to mention, I want to thank, staff for undertaking. The Aquatic Center has so much heritage in it, and, those that have gone before us started that, and with the vision of creating something greater for the community. But it is one of those that I think with the activity and the new excitement, of course, a lot of water parks, constantly add new features to get the excitement again. I think this stirred just the idea of having a new name. There was nothing wrong with Aquatic Center. It's just this is you can imagine when somebody sits there, and I will not say what it is because I've promised not to, but when you go to Coffeyville, instead of the Aquatic Center, you're going to say this name, and that'll be known which I think is neat. The entrant that put in that was chosen, I think it's a cool little name to sit there and say, what are you talking about? It's up on the hill, and it's called this. And I think that just adds to a little of the what's going on. So
You guys are just waiting for him to say it, aren't you? Yeah.
I'm not. I did.
I know, I thought it's gonna slip.
No, she
wanna
yelled
see who
at me.
wins
She
this
told me,
bet.
"Don't
Yeah,
you ever tell."
I
And
keep
then
waiting for
so-
him to slip. Yeah.
But I do think, and I want to thank staff, and I want to thank the city commission for allowing this to happen. It was just a new excitement about something that is a great asset, amenity to the city, and it just gave it a little jostle after 20 years, just a shake up again, so.
Mayor did have one more, just on a personal note. I want to say congratulations to my youngest son and his fiancee. They're getting married this Saturday, so be my last child to get married off. So, yeah.
Be done.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I just want to commend Jim and his crew. The last 2 weeks, we were up there at the Aquatic Center doing swimming lessons for 2 weeks. And not that he had anything to do with, but the weather was perfect. I mean, and it made the kids want to learn. We had 45 more kids than we did last year, so we were up to 147 this year. And there's 6 of us that are instructors, and then 8 aides that we have that help out, and some of them are the lifeguards too. They come up and they volunteer their time, and it's a very good thing, and we appreciate all the cooperation that the city does, very much so. We always try to encourage the kids to use the Aquatic Center and have their mother, father, grandma, grandpa, whoever, take them up there on the weekend and enjoy it, because it's a great place. It is. It is. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
You didn't say it either.
No, I don't know it. I don't know it. I don't know what I'd say because I don't know it.
Yeah. Melissa's kept it pretty close to
Tight
the vest.
lips.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, anything else? Okay, if not, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner York to adjourn. Can I see a show of hands? Thank you.
Okay,
You.
thank you.